Hello everybody! My name is Astrid Schmölzer.
My name is Lang, and today we're going to talk to you over coffee about empowerment in teaching LaTeX. Our talk is called Coffee Talk with Noob and Ninja, Empowerment in Teaching LaTeX, and how we were called Noob and Ninja. You're going to learn just now.
Yes, I guess I'll start. My name is Astrid Schmölzer. Currently, I am working at the Institute of Roman Archaeology, Roman Provincial Archaeology at the University of Bamberg in Germany. We both know each other because we were studying together at the University of Graz. And due to our combination of studies actually, so archaeology and ancient history, a lot of history, then digital humanities by Sarah.
Hello everybody, my name is Lang. I'm a digital humanities researcher at the University of Graz, where I do my PhD thesis on early modern alchemical texts and some digital analysis. I'm currently a fellow at Institut für Europäische Geschichte in Mainz. Since 2018, I run the blog The LaTeX Ninja, which is what you might know me from, and together with Astrid, we launched this guest post, The Confessions of a LaTeX Noob, at some point fairly early on actually in the blog, and it got lots of attention from you guys, which is why we wanted to talk to you at the Tech Users Group meeting, and we're happy to be here with you, even if it's just virtually.
Okay, guess I'll start being the noob. First of all, noob is no negative term for us. I choose to be the happy noob. I think I also made a hashtag, right? Happy noob? All those things, yeah? Yes, because, back then I was quite young and naive in 2013 at the University of Graz in Austria, where we met each other and where we were studying together archaeology and ancient history, sometimes philology, depending on all that kind of stuff, so very ancient things and dead people. I wanted to write my master thesis on artificial cranial deformation, and I choose to try out writing it in LaTeX because I thought it might be nice combining text and pictures and all that stuff, writing a proper catalog, and just having not to worry about the layout, because I've heard that that's what LaTeX do, and helps you out with the layout. So I started with it quite naive, and I got crushed by the system, and then I tried to get some help online, because there are a lot of internet forums, a lot of chat rooms, and this didn't work out that well, because a lot of things I heard were like, I'm from the humanities, I'm an archaeologist, so why would I in the world ever use LaTeX or something like that, because it's technical stuff, it's scientific stuff, so no need for the humanities to get in there, or didn't, and I was a beginner, a noob, and I got crushed. I was disappointed, and I thought maybe, I guess they are right, maybe it's just dumb to try it out, to learn a software, to learn something that powerful, because there are a lot of possibilities, and I had to think about what next, and then I changed back to MS Word and wrote the whole thesis, my master thesis in MS Word, and lost a few years of my lifetime, I guess, with that. But when I got to the point when I had to write my doctoral thesis in 2017, Sarah stepped in, and we were talking about LaTeX and about the advantages you have by just laying out how to write a catalog and all the features you need for an archaeological catalog. And yes, then we started as the noob and the ninja. We connected a lot about our research topics, and my big problem was when I approached the time I had to write my master thesis in archaeology at Graz, back then in 2013. Then I wanted to write a catalog and a pretty nice layout for my master's thesis, which is not that simple when you want to combine text and pictures. So I thought about LaTeX. And I thought about using LaTeX, and I started using LaTeX quite naive. And yeah, it was not that good idea because being a total noob at this time, I got crashed by the system actually, making some typical mistakes, some typical beginner's mistakes. And then I tried to get some help online because there are a lot of internet forums and chat rooms, and I thought, well, if others can take it, I can learn all of those things too, and I can get better. And yeah, didn't work out that well, I have to admit. So a lot of things I've heard were like, I'm from the humanities, I'm archaeologist, so why should I use LaTeX? I can use Word, obviously, because if you're in the humanities, you can use Word because that's for the people in the humanities. Because LaTeX is, well, technical stuff and scientific stuff, so yeah, no matter what. And at this stage, Sarah stepped in. I got crushed with my first try and my master thesis, but back in 2017, when I had to adopt a system for a catalogue in my doctoral thesis, she helped me out, and that's when our first blog post, my guest post at her LaTeX Ninja website appeared, The Confessions of a LaTeX Noob. And I decided that noob is no negative term at all. It's just another word for beginner, another term for beginner, and I choose to be a happy noob. And yes, this is my LaTeX Ninja. And yeah, Sarah, the floor is yours.
The Noob gave us her perspectives on, well, the problems she encountered trying to use LaTeX in the humanities, like how getting help was tricky, how you don't want to look like an idiot, how you constantly have to defend your choice to use LaTeX to users and non-users alike. People ask you, why would a humanities person want to use LaTeX anyway? You don't need it and you're not up for it. So the post was meant to show that this is not how it should go, and we were really surprised when there was such a lot of positive feedback. We didn't expect the community to be like that, but we learned that the community is just really nice. And that you like us, hopefully, which is why we thought you might want to learn more. And today our subject is supposed to be empowerment, because that's basically what all of this is about. How can we empower people from the humanities, or generally people without a technical background who miss some fundamental things, who lack some fundamental knowledge, like how to ask a question on Stack Overflow or Tech Exchange, how to even web search a term right, because if you don't know what you're looking for, it's very difficult to come up with the search terms. And how can we empower people so that we get more new users for LaTeX? Because I think, well, some people in the community might be worried a little that, well, the people who already use LaTeX and will continue to do so. But how do we get new users who will actually stick, who will develop a real LaTeX skill, and who will become the next generation experts? This is what we want to talk to you about today. And feel free to grab a coffee, because this is called the Coffee Talks.
Oh yeah.
Astrid has told you the backstory, but what are the pillars of empowerment? Because empowerment can mean many things. It can mean, yeah, motivation, but we all know that motivation doesn't last and you need it very regularly. But there are many other things which might be overlooked, like, for example, countering frustration by writing tutorials that are easy to understand, or that don't have you look up every second word because they use so many words that you don't know. That will also hopefully help with lots of motivation. But also countering the thoughts of not being clever enough to use LaTeX, because as Astrid has told you, these were many of the things that were implied when technical people told her to just not do it because she's not up for it. It basically implies a lack of intelligence, which is very common really with women in tech, that it's so male dominated and people think like only men can do math and only men can do computer science, that when a woman wants to do something, even when we try not to be biased, we are a little bit biased. When the woman is a humanist as well, or a humanities scholar, then it's even more like you're not clever, or you're not clever in that kind of way. And it's really important, I think, that we actively include those people. Well, the first step, of course, is not to discriminate against them, but I think as a community, it's important to be proactive and actively include those people. Actively think, what could they be needing that I can give them straight away without having them ask, because always having to ask for help makes you feel dumb. Yeah, but after this blog post and lots of positive feedback, both on the blog post and via email and via Twitter, I also want to add, we're always happy to get feedback from you, so feel free to contact us. We've had lots of great exchanges with everybody from the community over the last 1.5 years, because the blog isn't that old. It's from, I think, it started in 2018. We were approached whether we wanted to talk about this same topic in TUG. So we wrote a little article with, where we outlined problems and how some problems could be solved. Since this is supposed to be a new talk and supposed to result in a new paper, we're not going to repeat the points now, but we just wanted to, we will give you the data in the text below, so you can look it up. Part of this talk is also, if we want to provide archaeologists or humanities scholars with more digital literacy regarding LaTeX, we need to understand their needs, which is why we thought we would explain to you one typical example for an archaeologist. That's the archaeological catalogue, and what needs this has.
Yes, and maybe just a few words to the talk now. We choose to talk about archaeology just because the problem with humanities always is that there is a diversity of disciplines and a lot of different working methods. So we decided to do a case study in archaeology, maybe because I'm the project here. Everything started out with an archaeological project, so my thesis catalogue, and that's why we stick to archaeology. I guess I should tell you something about why or what is needed for a catalogue of findings of objects for an archaeological thesis, because I guess there are not many trained archaeologists around here. So I had to do an analysis of findings. I worked on the so-called Matrona goddesses, very funny-looking women. I can show you a picture from them. Very funny-looking women located in the Rhine territory. So never mind that. But what are the main things? What is important for me to have in this catalog? First picture, then the location of the finding itself, measurements, museum stuff, ID numbers, where I can find it, all kind of literature, and so on. So, and then of course the description. So I will have the technical facts about the object, and then some written text with the description, and then some quotations and literature I used or where I know that this special object is published. So yeah, that's for the very breakdown version of the catalog. I did that quite extensive, I guess. But yeah. So let me just sum it up for the technical people around. We have lots of metadata, we have images, and also some text with interpretation. And we have that for every object. So basically what we want is to define an environment where we can display this nicely and in a uniform way. And well, obviously in LaTeX this can be done. And not so much in Microsoft Word, actually, because with all of those images, it really gets very difficult. Annoying. The term is annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So the layout must provide a good way of combining written tags in the descriptions and the images in the described object. But another challenge LaTeX-wise is we don't want the objects to float around like they want. They need to go well beside the text. The image always needs to go beside the text. The text needs to be in a more or less tabular format. And, well, PhD advisors are also sometimes a bit complicated, so sometimes they won't think about things in the beginning and then suddenly realize that the way you implemented it is not at all to their liking, and then you might have to change it all. And this is also where a strong benefit of LaTeX comes in for archaeologists, because you can just search and replace the formatting. Whereas in Microsoft Word, you might have to change 200 pages by hand, and then of course everything gets stuck and so on.
Yeah, right.
So now, from what we've seen, it's not a really complicated problem in LaTeX, but there are many variables to take into account, especially as the document gets long. In the beginning, you work with a minimal working example, obviously, but then it doesn't actually cover all sorts of data that you're going to get. So if you implement a workflow and then you realize, for example, one problem that we had was that we thought, well, it would be spaced evenly, it wouldn't be a problem, and then we realized that her descriptions just got so long that, for example, doing the whole thing with mini pages wouldn't work because it would totally screw up the spacing, because, well, one of these mini pages was basically almost one page, and that's not what mini pages are for. So we had to change the whole concept, and it was quite a long process. In the beginning, it wasn't all that easy, because in the beginning you don't have all the data, you don't know what's going to go into that catalog. So it's always good to have the person you're working with, if you were like the LaTeX consultant, to show you real data and maybe only implement it for them once they're a bit further along, which is stupid because of course they'll have to encode some of what they've already done in LaTeX. But from what I've seen, I've coached 2 people on this, and it worked a lot better with the person who already had much more data. Because we kind of started from the beginning, we thought, we're going to do this right from the beginning, and it didn't really work that well, because the data ended up looking really differently from what we had anticipated. So one thing I've learned from coaching humanities scholars in this process was that what you want to do is not give them a solution. They don't want to be handed a solution. They want to make their own solution, because they have very special needs, and if you're the technical person, you might not even understand all the needs that they have. So you need to empower them in a way that they can implement their own things. So in a second case where I did this coaching, I feel that it went a lot better. Well, it also always depends on how much computer literacy the person already has, and how independent they are on the project, how much, well, also, it's not so much a question of ability, but the fact that we'd be hanging around together all the time meant that obviously she knew that she could always ask. So other people that you're not around all the time, they might be a bit more independent, and they really want to be empowered before you leave, basically. Like, you coach them, you give them information, but they really need to be sure that they can do it on their own once you're gone, because they won't have you all the time. This is a very important aspect, and I think probably the most important aspect is that you want to empower users to be able to do it on their own. So that consists of, well, telling them what can I type into a web search that I will get meaningful results. What packages might be relevant for me? Because LaTeX has so many packages. How is a new user supposed to know where to look? I mean, of course you can web search something, but you're going to get lots of, well, non-relevant results. And then the other thing is teach them basic skills, such as, well, how do I write my own command? If they understand these basics, they can automate so much for themselves. I mean, for us, writing a new command is such a basic thing, but for a new user, this is really the difference where LaTeX becomes really powerful compared to other typesetting tools and softwares. And this is what we should definitely teach them. And we should do it in a way that they really understand it, meaning go very, very basic, repeat it a million times, and make sure that they're not afraid to ask questions. Yeah, because I feel that in my teaching all the time, it's not the difficult things that don't work. People think they fail with the difficult stuff, but that's just because they never truly understood the basics, and in the basics you can easily cover up for not understanding what's going on. But once you're in the more complicated areas, when you don't get the basics, you're lost. And I think this is often a problem with noobs, that, well, they're embarrassed that they don't understand the basics, and actually they have no way of understanding them when nobody ever explained them to them properly. But I think this is where they don't dare to ask when they didn't understand the basics, and this is where they're going to fail with the more advanced stuff, because they think it's the advanced stuff they're not up for, but they don't realize that it's actually the basics. So I think a teacher has to be very proactive in teaching the basics until you're really, really sure that they understood them. Because of course a noob is going to tell you, yeah, I understood everything, just to not look stupid, but very likely they didn't get it yet, so just be persistent and maybe provide lots of tutorials. Provide the tutorial, where in case somebody doesn't understand the tutorial, maybe you missed like a million steps that you actually have to understand before you understand the tutorial, which is something that advanced users usually don't understand.
Yes, and we tried it out. So I very often told her that I had quite an idea what she wants me to do. And then I would try it together with her in the office or wherever we sat, the coffee table we met. And it worked out, and then I tried it all by myself back home, and yep, no, it didn't work. So I had to phone her again, and maybe there were just some little things I forgot or I hadn't in mind, or some little misunderstandings, but we all knew that it's, the details getting on your nerves. So it's really
the devil's in the details.
The devil's in the details, right? And of course, it's very helpful if you know you can ask any question, because as we told you, feeling down because you're not up to for the big features means, well, very often it's just because you're not up to for the basics, because you have no technical background at all. And there are some things and some methods to get you on the line, get you going with it, and then you can provide yourself, you can help yourself, and that's the important thing, I guess. And for empowerment and motivation, it always worked out with coffee and talking about it.
Oh, and also with talking about it is great if you have access to your students in real life, but as Astrid's example has shown, it's easy to forget things, especially with tech. Maybe it's a typo or something, so it does help to have it written down. So many people are like, yeah, of course I'm going to help the newbie with their LaTeX stuff, and then they don't write it down, or they don't write that follow-up email, and then the newbie is lost again because they forgot how something is spelled, which can be a problem, or what sort of braces to use. That can also be confusing, or what order to use the braces in, etc. So be sure to write your stuff down and write that follow-up email if you said that you would. It's unfair if you don't. And it can be very demotivating because it makes people feel like you annoy them. They annoy you. So yeah, these are very small things, but this is what hinders progress in real life. But we've talked about motivation, and so there's also another thing that we do, which is supposed to motivate people, and that's our PhD blog that we run together. Yeah. It's called Epigrammetry.
Well, actually, bouldering epigrammetry, just to give you an idea of what we are up to in our free time.
So there you're going to find posts about our PhD life and about bouldering, and sometimes book reviews of some self-help books, and we kind of try to adapt them to academia because there aren't that many coaching books for academia, if you're interested in that. And then, of course, there's the Lady Ninja blog, which you probably, hopefully, already know, and we would be happy about another visit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a fun conference. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for tuning in.
Okay, so thanks for the talk, and maybe it's time for some questions and comments. Yes, Sarah and Astrid, can you see the question and answer button on the bottom? Oh. There is a question now, so I mean, it's better for you to read it, I think, and answer than if I read it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I will read the question. Oh, so Astrid?
Yeah. No, read the questions. Good idea.
Okay. It was 3 questions. Number 1 is the PDF of the catalog published online? Number 2, how did you manage exact absolute placement of images? Was it somehow anchored to a paragraph and moved with the contents, or did you place images on exactly specified page numbers? 3, have you considered the corners of LaTeX that are a problem for layouts common in humanities? Because of the text reflow business, it's way easier in InDesign. And Speed Data Publisher, which will be published today, and could be difficult if not impossible in LaTeX. I think Astrid can answer the first question, right?
Yeah, first one, not now because I just submitted my thesis and I'm still waiting for my supervisors to grade it, and then I have to take my final exam. And after that, yeah, there will be a version online, I guess on our library side of the university, but I will go for publication of the whole book in open access. So I have no idea how it will look after that, after the whole publication process. But yeah, but not now. So I have to wait, unfortunately.
I think we were also thinking about maybe publishing an anonymized snippet of how we solved it in LaTeX, but I think it wasn't the most elegant solution we finally came up with because it just changed so many times. So I think we're a bit, I think a part actually is published a short snippet of an earlier version, which gives a good idea of how we did it in my blog post, something about archaeological catalog on the LaTeX Ninja. I can find you the link. And yeah, with using InDesign, I think maybe Astrid can also answer that while I'm looking for the link for you. Did you consider it?
Yes, I know that a lot of colleagues are working with InDesign, but there is a problem that we have no licenses and they are pretty expensive. And I never ever did, well, any course in InDesign, so I think I would be lost. And actually, as far from now, I never had any problems, but maybe just because it's a simple A4 design, so normal PDF design when you have to submit your thesis. So maybe the problems will start when I go into the publishing process. That could be. I can't not answer that by now. Yeah. Oh, and Scribus. Yeah, well, I heard of that, but I never tried it. So this one is also quite
Sorry,
new
my
to me.
internet just died. I'm trusted answered really well.
Mm.
Yeah, let me just take this opportunity to mention, sorry, that if you use the chat to ask questions, you can actually select who you send the question to, and it's probably better to send it to all panelists and attendees. I think that everyone should have this option, because then the question, if it's not the case, the question is only seen by the panelists. And you know, there people are confused what is answered, so please use the all panelists and attendees if you can. Thank you.
So I added the link in the Q&A section. I hope that was correct. Is it that the way how everybody can see it?
Yeah.
It's like, can the non-panelists also see it like that? Or I think I'll send it again to everybody.
Question and answer. Yeah, maybe if you send it to the chat, it's a little better. Yes, perfect.
So yeah, there's a small snippet of how we did it. I think we also tried lots of different packages because really non-floating images, it depends. Like if they're really small, it kind of works. But yeah, I feel like LaTeX is not really doesn't really like it when you unfloat the images. So we were trying out so many packages, but we would always get some, how do you say, lag, basically, but like it wasn't aligned perfectly when we used like wrap figure and so on. So yeah, I think we tried all of those packages, and I think Astrid switched them around. For the other person I've coached, we've actually realized it would have been better because she had all her catalog data in an Excel sheet, and then we converted it to CSW, and we used the CSV simple package to generate the catalog entries from it. And that seemed to be a very good solution to me, but Astrid and I didn't find it at the time, and I think she also didn't have her data in a spreadsheet format. But that was something that could really work well, I think, if you know early on that you want to do it like that. Yeah, and I think most of the information, or the what we learned from this concrete catalog business, I think it's mostly in the blog post, and I think I'll update it with the new. I will update it soon, like with a new blog post on the coaching of the second person, where I think it got really much more advanced, and it kind of became in a way that is more likely possible to use out of the box. Because Astrid's solution was a lot of, yeah, let's correct that, search and replace the whole document because we want to do it differently now. But I think this new solution was actually that good and that simple in the end, because we tried tons of things. But what came out of it in the end is the simple package that worked really well. And I think that's something that people could kind of use like out of the box for this, unless they're very special needs, for example.
Yeah, right. Well, during the publication process, there will be a lot of restructuring also the data, because I'm not going to publish all 500 pages I actually wrote in that thesis. That would be crazy if I did so. So yeah, we will try it with an Excel sheet, and we will try it with the new methods we've learned to see how it works, and also to help others who are now struggling with their catalog, some of our colleagues. Yeah.
And from what I've just gathered from the blog entry, I think we're still using the mini page version, but big problem that we encountered was, I don't know, with this archaeological catalog, archaeologists are always pretending it's like a tabula, and then you have this really long text, and then it's like 1.5 pages of description, and you kind of thought this was like just one cell of a tabula or something, and then, well, I think in the newest example, I've already taken into account that, well, I'm not expecting people to stick to what they say they're going to do in the description, because I kind of assume that it's going to be really long. And yeah, so I think it's also a matter of knowing who you're working with, because I think, especially humanities people always think that they're going to keep it short, and they never do. So always assume it's more like a long text.
Okay.
There is a suggestion that there should be a mailing list or any discussion place for discussing, accessing, I mean, LaTeX for humanities. So I mean, that's something we can discuss over in the chat. And I think that if there are no more questions, then we are back to Arthur for the